fine. He didn't report, but in all those categories, their names were picked. So you can find a name picked in Outlook, or at least sometimes 3 categories, 2 categories, or in 4 categories. But then when they're putting it together, then they put it, because they are just adding up, they're adding what is there and what is there, and then it came up with that number. But when we now went down to do our own verification, we realized that these names were repeated. And that's why we didn't say that those are going to work. Actually, those are not going to work.
Chair, can you stop the county secretary, because he's now working into a landmine? Because the more he talks, the more everything gets messed up. Therefore, 32 million governor that was contracted to PwC, there was no value. Because even your county public service board sat and wrote you a letter on what should be done. In this report, the one that you are provided, either you are saying the PricewaterhouseCoopers report was a draft. Because if you are hiring to make a sense of the 55% that you are spending on what you are putting now, 7,000 plus workers, then it is getting more messed up than in the beginning. Because the chairman of County Public Service Board has provided once the implementation status of PwC. The governor has gone on record and said, when we got this report, we had to contest, to amend, to do a few years there, massages a few years to be politically correct. So my question should be, Governor, in this 32 million, in my own opinion, the people of Homa Bay did not get value. You did not come out to tell us whether the public service of Homa Bay of 7,000 plus who work in your county government, whether there was value that was given. And that is why, Chair, I want to go back to my first question. The justification of the governor of using PricewaterhouseCoopers over Public Service Commission. Yet there is what we call intergovernmental relationships that they can partner, because even if they disagree, the spending of the money would not have been, at least would have been another. But on this 32 million, Chair, I think, to me, looking at the chairperson of County Public Service Board and the minutes that the County Public Service Board sat, Governor, we are getting more and more confused, and we do not see the value of 32 million in this PricewaterhouseCoopers engagement that you did, even including the one I had pointed out on the administrative action on other matters.
Okay, let me, for purposes of time, there is a report by PwC, which we are interacting with for the first time, because as at March, it was not ready. And that is why we gave generic recommendations of administrative action. Now the Senate is seized of the report. We have it. There is also a report by the Auditor General on a payroll audit for Homa Bay County, which I think has been tabled. It has been tabled in Parliament.
Yes, Chair, it was tabled.
We need to look at these 2 reports, the payroll audit report, the PwC audit report, the report that we are considering now, and as someone who comes from Homa Bay, spending 52% on compensation of employees it's a serious problem, and it is a legacy problem. I think Governor is dealing with an inherited problem that has festered over the years. Whether 32 million was value for money, in my view, I think it tells us something about the rotten state of human resources in that county. It might not be accurate, but it can stimulate some debate that can help us to find a solution. You see, when you're at 55, Clerk, can you give us the comparative analysis of neighboring counties? I think a county like Siaya, Migori, Kisumu, Kericho, Busia, counties with fairly similar demographics.
Yes, Chair. Migori is at 32%.
32?
Siaya, 35. Kisumu, 44. Busia, 35. Kericho, 47.
32 you said was Migori?
32 is Migori.
Siaya?
35.
35.
Kisumu, 44.
Busia,
35.
Kericho at 47. And Homa Bay at 55. They are very tough decisions you have to make, Governor. Otherwise, Homa Bay is going to be an employment bureau. I know we have talked of the legacy of municipalities, but these other counties that we have cited may also tell a similar story. They have the fiscal space to carry out development. They have got the fiscal space to pay pending bills because they've been able to tame their employee costs. Honorable members, this matter is so significant that I don't feel like we'll do justice to it discussing it at 4 p.m. And I want to propose, as I'd indicated earlier, that this could be an issue of inquiry where we can invite the governor when she's better prepared with an implementation plan and when she's better prepared with responses to the Auditor General's payroll report. Can we take that as our resolution? Because the more you go into this report, the more you stumble onto things. I mean, I've looked at the list of ghost workers. I see Professor Richard Otieno Muga listed as a ghost worker there in that report. So the more you get into the details, the more you know it gets messy. So let's organize a proper forum to discuss 55% of Homa Bay's expenditure.
Chair,
Vice Chair.
yeah, also what needs to be done in Homa Bay, if it was not done as part of TR for PwC, there is need to do staff rationalization so that we can be able to establish if all the employees who are there are supposed to be or are required to work in the areas that they are working. Because sometimes we could just have staff who are not doing anything.
Yes, members, is there any variation to that recommendation? Because if you agree with me, then we can proceed to the next.
An important addition, Chair. Because there's PwC, which is a recipient of public funds, and they were contracted to do a job. According to them, they did a job. According to the consumer of the job that they were given to do, if Professor Okoth says that the document that they got was all mixed up, of all these things. This PwC should also maybe shed some light to this committee on what exactly is it that they did in Homa Bay County. That would be my submission.
And Chair, in addition to this, we should also include the entire board of County Public Service Board. I hope your County Public Service Board is functional because they have minuted the response to the implementation of PwC report. I yield.
Okay. Now, again, there's an issue of there are two projects in Homa Bay which have received a lot of space in this report. Under construction of buildings, you have the Kigoto milling plant. It has issues that are very difficult to verify while sitting in Nairobi. I want to recommend that in October, when we do our county visit, we would also visit Kigoto milling plant from a value for money perspective. Under construction of buildings, there are about 4 paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 paragraphs relating to small works at Kigoto. And you see, it's very difficult to sit here in Nairobi and say that the water tank and water pump has been installed without physical verification. Can we defer all these issues around Kigoto to the county visit? We could look at the county headquarter issue, but also we could visit. I think it would also be good for us to visit. We visit it and deal with it while on the ground. Then there's a Lakefront Access Road Phase 1 and 2. Our recommendation was for DCI to carry out investigation, but we felt that this ought to be an EACC matter. And so we are going to amend our recommendation from DCI to EACC to deal with the matter. And EACC, you could add it to your matrix of cases.
Well noted, Chair.
Perhaps the other big thing that we needed to perhaps pronounce ourselves on is unsupported payments on legal expense. Now, on unsupported payments on legal expense, in our earlier brief, there was a risk that the Auditor General did not bring out clearly. So there is an issue that has been brought up by the Auditor General on how private firms were contracted, but there's a bigger risk of decretal sums and court orders that amount to almost 147, was it 147 million?
117 million, Chair.
117 million that have not been settled, and in your own admission, you have said they're attracting 12% interest per annum. Now, the question was, why would you even make that admission? That there are orders against the county, you haven't paid, you know that they are earning interest. It's not like you're making an investment in an infrastructure bond. It's a cost that is being underwritten by the people. In fact, when we worked out the interest on the awards against the county, when we worked out the average interest for 2 years, it was exactly the amount of money you're collecting from markets, 47 million. So I want to bring your attention to the notes to your financial statements, where you have the contingent liability register. Annex 5, the contingent liabilities register. I think that can provide an entry point into the issues of legal fees. Does Governor has a copy? So there are 300 and, how many cases, Auditor General? 350. Now, shouldn't we have had a disclosure of the entire list of cases as contingent liabilities? OAG, what is the requirement?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As per requirement of the PFMA Act, all contingency liabilities is now a requirement to be disclosed. And especially the main part is the financial implications that they have. So there is part of the contingency liability that's being required as disclosure. And also if maybe the court has maybe awarded, as you said, then the amount should be put as part of the payables now, because it's supposed to be paid. So there is a disclosure in terms of contingency for the ongoing cases, where the institution can also make probability of whether you lose or you can win the case, need to be disclosed.
So on the positive side, I think when the county appeared before us last time, there was no disclosure of contingent liabilities. However, are these contingent liabilities, or these are active orders? Because where a decision has been made, it is no longer contingent liability. Contingent liability is litigation in progress. And therefore the disclosure should have been on the 350 active cases. So, Governor, could you help us understand these 31 cases listed here? Have you appealed, or orders have been issued, but you just said you can't pay, won't pay?
Chairman, let me ask the attorney to give the details of that.
Please proceed. I think a quick summation of the 31 was
117 million, Chair.
117 million.
Thank you very much, Chair. We have given a comprehensive documentation on our status on legal matters. The one that you're referring to appears as Appendix 19H. On the bundle there, it will appear at page 157 and runs all the way to page 162. Chair, these are actually cases that have been determined and judgments have been issued. If you look at the bulk of the cases, not actually the bulk, if you look at the cases, these are cases that were determined pre-2022. And these are matters, historical cases that we inherited. The judgments that were entered total to 156,771,349 and 02. Chair, on the question that you've asked, what we did is that where judgment has been entered, we were able to extract and put up the list of 31. Now, pretty much all the cases that we got here, we are at different stages in terms of either seeking a form of a review or some form of an appeal. But those judgments still stand, legally speaking. So those judgments stand, even if eventually we are able to get different decisions, but those judgments had already been handed down against the county government. Now, Chairman, in terms of the cases, Chair, we inherited quite a huge portfolio of cases.
Before you go to the 350,
yes,
because you have a very detailed appendix which you can refer to. But our attention was drawn to this 31. You are saying these are firm orders by the court. Now, is there, because there's no column, you've got a column on remarks, and remarks you are saying there's an interest of 12% running every year. It would have been useful to have a column to indicate that on this we have appealed, on this we have sought review, on this we need to pay. Because I think now speak as an advocate and advise the governor that where the courts have issued an order and it has not been appealed or a review has not been filed, what is the obligation of the county? Leave alone the historical background or how the orders were obtained. What is your advice as a professional to the county?
Chair, I think let me give you a very good reference. Put your hand on page 78 on my bundle, and then go back to page 157 as well.
Okay,
so
you've taken us to your bundle. That's
yes,
going to
so
take
look
us
at the
longer.
bundle. Look at
that's appendix
19D. Look at 19D. That is on the big document, volume appendix 1 to 29C.
$19D?
Yes. So if you go to 19D, in 19D, from we have got status of matters that are pending payment, but those matters are still in court. So if you look at number 1, for instance, on page 78, you'll see a case there by Export Hydro. Chairman, we are in the process of doing an appeal, but there's already a judgment. So if you go again to page 157, you will see it is listed there as number 2, as a decree that has been issued. So what I'm saying is that yes, we have got judgments that were already entered against the county government. So if there's a judgment already entered, we have listed them there because we do not know how far the process will go. But we have already instituted a review process, and those are the ones that we've listed in 19D.
Chair,
which column indicates that?
Chair, I don't think the county attorney understood you. What are the intervention? It's not here.
Yes.
You are saying by word of mouth. We wanted to see a proof that you have appealed. It is not here. We agree it's not here.
Yes, Chair.
Or you are advising the governor now that we have asked you to advise?
No, Chair, you are very right that maybe that information is not available on this. I must admit that maybe that information was not available to me at the point when we were preparing this report. But that information is available, Chairman, if you want. I want to say that out of the 32 matters that were judgments, pretty much all of them are still in court at some point in time or another, either by way of review or by way of appeal. That is the correct position of this matter. And that is information, Chair, if you, because I think you were talking about a very huge figure, it is something that I can be able to make available to show that there is actually a legal process to try to roll back. But what I was saying is that what I put in page 157 is that I appreciate that there are decrees that have already accrued from the legal process. But we are taking time to be able to roll back the process. So that's why I have got 2 separate lists, one for rolling back the process, but one confirming that that is the true position.
You know, County Attorney, the Auditor General, if you look at their finding,
contingency
as referred to the legal department as being very vibrant.
Yes, we are.
You can see the vibrancy. And I think I also need to disclose that we're in school together. We're in campus together, but different faculties. So advise me, because I was not in your faculty, on file number 1, Homa Bay CMC, export hydro pump and services, case concluded, payment of decree pending, 10.9 million. And I think the case was concluded in which year? 2016?
The one for export hydro was concluded 15th August 2017. That is the date of the decree.
2017.
Yes.
I understand the problems you have had in the legal space in the county. I do understand. And I believe that we can solve it. But what do you advise the governor on this case number 1? Because if there is no appeal, if there is no evidence of review, shouldn't your advice be to the governor that, Governor, we must pay this? Because the longer we take, the more interest is going to accrue.
Chair, can you just allow me to clarify, to confirm that of all the matters that we've listed, the one that we have listed as contingent liability, the 30 matters, we have got active reviews and appeals going on, only that we have not concluded to succeed or a determination being made. But yes, that is why I have not been able to advise the governor that now here we are at the tail end of it. You will find matters. Let me give you a very good example, Chair, so that you perhaps maybe be able to walk with me why we are where we are. You'll find, for instance, somebody has gone to court and is claiming in respect of a road, for instance. Now, when the audit was done, it was actually established that actually no road was done. Now, these facts might not have been available at the point these cases were being determined. Now, what we've done is that we've been able to use that information to go back to court and tell court that, look, we have done our own investigations. We have determined that there was actually no work done for the county. So we want a review of that judgment. Now, we are at various stages with similar or divergent positions, but the truth is that we have these matters that I've listed here, the 30 of them, we are taking active steps to try to roll back. Now, the reason why I put them here is because right now I have not succeeded in doing so, but I'm in the process of doing so. So there are active reviews or appeals pending in respect to the 30 matters for which 156 million had been granted at various stages. So,
Governor,
Chair,
do you have that visibility? Sitting from where you sit, do you have the comfort that if an order was served upon you on a particular matter, that you don't have to look for the attorney in Kabwatch? You have a dashboard somewhere where you have all the information about the 300 cases.
I don't have a dashboard, but I have a file of the cases, and the overall advice is that we appeal for as far as we can go on the claims that have been made to the county, given the inavailability of funds to pay some of this. But what I wanted to say also in terms of legal fees overall is, and I think we've noted it in our response, is that since we established the Office of the Attorney, we have not had any cases being handled by external lawyers, 1, and 2, we have not lost a single case in court. And we have had, we have the most litigious group in Homa Bay, but we have not lost a single case. So on the advice on appeals, I have a file of these 350 cases in my office. I don't have we have not digitized it so that I have a dashboard, but what you mean is, do I have a sense of the cases? I may not have the details of each and every case. I have a very good idea, especially of the cases that have been brought in our tenure in office. But Chairman, I would like to report to the committee that we haven't had to hire external lawyers, neither have we lost any of the cases, and that is thanks to your classmate. I think given your chairmanship ability here and your classmate's ability as attorney, your school was good. Thank you, Chairman.
I think you have given a lot of latitude to your classmate, but he knows there's a principle of evidence and evidentiality. Because what you are telling us, this accrual of interest after the degree has been extracted and judgment entered. So did you stay? Or as you plan to appeal, this interest will continue to accrue?
Chairman, the interest is part of the decree. But Chair, let me just also just say one thing.
Yes. No, just answer my question, then you say that other thing.
Yeah, obviously the interest continues to accrue.
Yeah, so you should be honest to your classmates.
But what I was saying, that I am hopeful.
No, actually on that point, so if the interest runs,
yes,
shouldn't your liability as disclosed include the interest rather than the original amount?
Yeah, they should be inclusive. The one should go. Remember, Chair, when we were here before you the last time, we were at a much lower figure, because we remember when we were here.
So you didn't even have this disclosure then?
Chair, we actually did. We actually did have.
Okay, now let's agree on. You are speaking from a perspective of law. Let's agree with the accountants from the perspective of disclosing that liability. Should they disclose the original award, or they should factor in the interest? Because it's a contingent liability. The probability that you will be called upon to pay an amount, the interest ought to be factored in, isn't it, from an accounting perspective? So then this needs to be adjusted for that. And then another column also needs to be provided that shows the status. And if there is an appeal, if there is a review, that needs to be declared. But if there is an uncontested order or award, that one you don't have the luxury of talking of fiscal space, because the more you wait, the more interest checks in. And as we have said that on this, 12%, the interest is equivalent to the market fees. And you know, it would look very untidy to explain that we are collecting rates from markets, but all of it is going to interest on decrees that have not been honored.
Chair, maybe from Wakili, on this issue, the reason I asked the accrual of 12% after degree has been extracted and judgment entered, is there a way in the review you can push for the stay so that this accrual of interest does not continue, so that it can be stayed, and then by the time the review is had and determined, you should have not suffered a lot, because if it is entered against you or in your favor or against, let's assume you lose the case, it means that accrual of 12% will affect the contingency liability that has been provided for by the county government. So don't you think, and then finally, I know Governor, and I think all of us in this room participated in the passage of the County Attorney Act, and then in the last Parliament. I've heard the Governor, which is good, that you have never lost a case that you have handled. Can you just in 1 minute paint to us how the county department looks like in terms of human resource? I don't know, Governor, whether you meant the people is there a group in Homa Bay that is litigious, or naturally the population of Homa Bay like pursuing their human rights issues? What did you mean? You need to be clear so that you are not misinterpreted.
Chairman, I think it is both. Our people are very enlightened, very aware of their rights, and they're also very litigious, a very vibrant civil society, also in Homa Bay. And therefore, and we are happy that we have a vibrant civil society, because it is always keeping us on the line.
So that you look nice. Thank you.
Honorable members, it is 4 o'clock, and there is the law of diminishing returns that is setting in. I feel like you have discussed the substantive issues that we could have dealt with today. There are a few issues that have remained that we can deal with when we visit Homa Bay or when we schedule another meeting. I think the biggest risk that we must all agree that we must deal with is a 55% that goes to employees. It is not proper that our neighbors could be at 30-something% and we are at 55%. It is an inherited problem, and it requires very, very tough decisions. Some of them would be very tough political decisions that need to be made. But we must have that conversation. Otherwise, we will be fighting for more resources just to pay salaries rather than to develop our county. So if there are few issues that we have not addressed, If there are issues where we cannot rely on the written responses, we shall consolidate them so that at our next meeting we can have answers. But the audit is also going on. OAG, have you done your entry?
For the executive, not, but for the RORCRF we have done. But we're also planning for the executive.
So,
this month.
so if there's an issue which we have not touched on and which you had reported earlier that is not fully addressed, we keep it in view and report on it in the next audit cycle. But issues of HR, issues of the two projects, Kigoto and the Arujo, plus this issue of legal fees, if there are still areas that we feel dissatisfied, we can still canvass on those. With that, I want us to do closing remarks from the members, if any.
Maybe what I can say is...
Or maybe before you make the closing remarks, let me communicate back to the County Assembly that we have received the report that you had referred to, and indeed the Assembly processed a report. However, the report did not have the involvement of the Auditor General. It is a report of the Auditor General, and as we build capacity, and I'm glad that Honorable Wanga is the chair, because he's a man whose capacity is not in doubt, that you will work together with the Senate, you will seek advice from the Clerk of the Senate or from the OAG, that for an Auditor General's report to be considered and adopted by the House without the participation of the Auditor General, in our view, the report becomes null and void. So therefore, even though I've seen the report, it will not be useful for our purposes because the Auditor General is a prosecutor, the Auditor General is the one who went to the ground, and I just want to encourage, and I think we can have interactions as your senator on how to improve the exercise. The fact that you attempted something is good, but the fact that you didn't involve the Auditor General is not good enough. So I think I wanted to make that communication so that if members want to give further advice in their closing remarks, they can do so. Senator Cherargei, anything in closing?
No, Chair, since you have directed that when we will be in Senate Mashinani, your county, Homa Bay, will be part of our visitation, then on the issue of projects, I think we can handle at that level. I think what I can say, Governor, as we wish you well, since you are a former colleague, we expect a lot from you. That's why we really want to see you succeed in that region. And as your motto says, Homa Bay is a county of endless potential. We want to see that potential. I think one of the issues is on the human resource. Kindly put in order. I know it's a problem across many counties where the issue of human resource continue to go beyond 35% and it continues to affect the revenue, the money that should have been released to others. And I know you hosted us for the Devolution Conference. The fact that counties have received more than 4 trillion Kenya shillings, we want that to be seen for the last 15 years. All the counties, including yours, we want to see that value so that our people can appreciate why they pay taxes or why we take loans to finance some of these projects. I think if you can do that, it will be very important. And to also appeal, because you are a member of COG, is to work around the issue of on-source revenue. If I'm looking forward into the future, in conclusion, Chair, where the on-source revenue becomes the major revenue income of the county, and where the equitable shareable revenue, both conditional and additional, becomes supplemental to the functionality of counties, then we will have written the success stories. So you just harmonize a few revenue streams so that we can see the value for our money. And we wish you well, Chair, and I hope next time we can participate in Roan Antelope Marathon, but I know that's an issue of discussion. But we will participate one of these fine days when we come there. I know those are some things that we can consider. So, Governor, all the best, safe journey back home, and keep working hard for your people for the benefit of all of our Kenyans. And thank you for partnering with the national government. I've seen Homa Bay is one of the serious partner in terms of many projects that the national government is doing. And I think that is the spirit of intergovernmental. Even Kitui, we are doing a good stadium, and we hope we'll be there.
You have very good ideas, but you get lost in other details. I think on the Rowan marathon, Governor, there's an observation in the financial statements where the Rowan marathon is reported to have generated 68,000 Kenya shillings. It is in your financial statements. And if time would have allowed, we would have probed it. But go back and try to find out why that is so. Because at 68,000, I do recall that marathon, personally, I paid a corporate package of 50,000. So it would mean that I was the only person who paid, plus 18 other runners who are paying 1,000 shillings each. The devil is in the detail. And I think Senator Chirargei has mentioned it because we had canvassed it in the morning. But that is something that requires an explanation. OAG, it is something that you need to probe. How it is that only 68,000 was recorded in the financial statements for the marathon. Senator Mbua?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief. First is to thank the Governor for her time and the team. Governor, I'm very sure you do understand where we come from when we ask the questions that we're asking. I was just try as much as we can to strengthen devolution if we can, and we should. And I believe for us as a Senate, we have done our job. We have passed the enabling legislations that are needed for counties to be able to access funding and undertake their projects. One thing, Governor, that I would want to say to you, as I say to all the other governors, is Cherage, Senator, congratulates Homa Bay for partnering with the national government. It's a good thing to do. But me, I want to always disabuse this notion from all of us that the national government sits here and county governments sit here to be allocated resources by the national government. The national government cannot and must never be perceived to be allocating any resource, any cent to any county government. That is the work of Parliament. The national government is allocated funds by Parliament just as much as the county governments are. But when there are areas of collaboration to advance the cause of devolution, it is always welcome, specifically for the county government of Homa Bay. I would want to still go back to that HR audit by PwC and say this, Chair, because you're also a member of that county. You know, I know counties are also grappling with this HR business. If you come into office, you find that the establishment is at 35, 70, no, the highest is around 50-something%. And then what do you do as a governor? What exactly are you supposed to do as a governor? If you have come in, you found that your wage bill is way beyond what is allowed in law. Do you fire people? Do you rationalize? Do you increase your own source so that the percentages could go down? What exactly do you do? But it gets complicated then when you engage the services of professionals in the field, and the report that they give you does not help you. It becomes very complicated. Governor and your team, I hope that you'll find your balance on that HR issue. And yes, like the rest of us, I wish you well.
I mean, from your comments, I wonder how it would have been if you had not raised your own source revenue by $1 billion shillings. I mean, we would be on 60-something%. It would have been in very, very dangerous territory. Senator Mofa, anything?
Nothing much, Chair. Governor, safe back. Traveler, safe back to Homa Bay. You know, Gladys is a big name in this country. So it's not lost. I think along the way, you are just grappling with problems that are in different counties across the country. There's nothing so much bad about Homa Bay. Thank you.
Governor, your closing remarks?
Chairman, is just to thank the committee for their time and for the review and the comment. I think given where we found our county, we have put our very best foot forward. On the HR, we found a county where we didn't know how many staff we had. At least now we have a staff establishment. We have a HR procedures manual. Again, when you come to Homa Bay, Chairman, and I welcome the entire team, as Senator Wambua has said, let us have a conversation on what do we do with the staff. Because there's only one way, and the way is rationalize and release. There's no other way of reducing the wage bill. In fact, even if we debate it from here, that we've done everything that can be done, including checking on who's not coming to work, who's regularly being paid allowances, we have rationalized all that, and we are where we are. So we will be happy to also benefit from the input of the Senate as to how we deal with the issue of our wage bill. I think it is a conversation for which we're open. This is your county as well, and we will be happy to benefit from those difficult decisions we're talking about. How exactly do we move forward? But I wanted to also submit to the Senate that a lot of money is also still left in Nairobi. And I think these monies should also be able to come to counties so that we're also able to still implement programs, even for those of us who have to deal with a higher than usual wage bill. Apart from that, I want to say that we value feedback that we receive from the Senate, and we always go back and look at how do we improve any elements that require to be tightened, including from the Auditor General. So when you come to visit, you will see the progress that we have made. You will see where there are gaps that we need to continue to work on. But what I would like to say is that this team that we have here, including our Deputy Governor and the rest of the team, we have put forward prudence in use of the little resources that we have. And I'm happy that what we are dealing with is structural issues that we need to manage, but not necessarily loss of monies of the county in ways through corruption and other ways. We have put our best foot forward in terms of bringing back good governance to our county. I thank you so much, Chairman. I thank the rest of the committee members for your time, and I do welcome you to Homa Bay when you have the time to come. It is always a pleasure to be here, and we are happy as a team to have been given the time that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. I'll conclude by, I think it is fair to congratulate you on on-source revenue performance. When you come to an audit exercise, there are always exceptions. And so we could focus on exceptions, we could focus on what is not working. But it is clear that we have grown our on-source revenue to levels that have even exceeded the OSR potential that has been defined by CRA. I think that should be one case where we go back to CRA and tell them that their models are faulty, that counties can generate much more. I think the governance structure, we didn't give your chair the opportunity to explain the budgeting, but that can still be done when we meet again. Branding a county is also extremely important. the manner in which the county leadership presents itself, even in terms of documentation. We have commented on it in the past. Documentation has been very proper. It's unfortunate that today we had cases of documents that could not be read. That was the legacy of Homa Bay a few years ago, where documents would come in foreign languages, but we thought that we had changed things. So let's continue striving for excellence. We have branded and positioned Homa Bay positively, and we shall work with you, hand in hand with you, to continue to project Homa Bay as that county of choice. I also appreciate and recognize the professionalism in the team that you lead. I think this is one of those counties where you can tell that there's a cabinet meeting going on. They are public, the resolutions and recommendations are circulated to the public, and that is how to inspire confidence in people. We still need to deal with what we have defined as structural issues. And as a resident of Homa Bay, I hear all these stories about money not flowing, people not being paid on time. But if you've got 55% of your expenditure going to salaries and another 11% going to the county assembly, already 66% is not available to you. And it will be very difficult for money to flow in that kind of scenario. Your neighboring counties with similar demographics, perhaps similar legacy and challenges, have been able to demonstrate they are around 35–36%. Migori governor was here. We were a bit concerned that his ratios were rising, but they were rising by about 1 or 2%. They are still within the 30-something percentage range. I think Siaya is in the same position. Busia could also be in the same range. It's going to be a tough decision because, as you have seen, the kind of uproar the PwC report receives just on the face value. But there has to be a way of fixing it. As I said earlier, if we didn't increase our own source revenue by 1 billion, I think we'd be saying that Homa Bay should be shut down because we'd be at 60%. And I don't know whether there's any other county which is at 60%, maybe Kisii. 58. We'll be competing at the wrong level because we should not be competing on imprudent use of financial resources. We also need to deal with the issue of pending bills and differentiate the truth from lies. If someone has presented a fake claim against the county government, let us call it what it is and hand over those files to EACC and DCI so that you are not blamed for non-payment of bills which are not legitimate in the first place. And I think that, as I said earlier, Senate cannot direct you to reopen ineligible claims because you are the CEO, you run the government. What we need to do is to draw the line. And what we also need to do is to ensure there's predictability on the part of those claiming that in the payment plan, they'll ultimately be paid. On the legal issues, the way the OAG describes your legal team as vibrant, I think you've got a vibrant team, but they have a responsibility to help you deal with the problems of the past. I am fully aware of those problems. Some of them came before this committee previously. Unfortunately, matters law, once orders are issued, if you bury your head in the sand, and I know we'll have this conversation even with the county assembly. I am aware a former member of county assembly who had a work injury and there was a decree, there were some orders that were issued by the courts, but because the figures are so big, people are hiding their heads in the sand, burying their heads in the sand, and interest keeps running. We must deal with this, and I think you've got good legal counsel that should help you to cut loose. Finally, our development expenditure has been reported to be around 25%. Is it 25%? 25%. I think with the ambition, with the ambitious plans that you have, I hear some people saying that we are only riding on national government projects. There is no country called national government. Those projects come from taxes that are paid for by the residents of Homa Bay, and when they come to Homa Bay, it is not a favor. I don't think that the Constitution expected that the national government would implement their projects in the air while the counties implement their projects on the ground. So I completely disagree with that notion that when the national government invests in Homa Bay, it is another entity that is doing the work. But your fiscal space is extremely limited. So I just want to encourage you, as your senator, I will support you. And whenever I sit on this chair, I am never conflicted, and that's why I don't recuse myself, because I'm clear in my mind. I'm not doing business with the county. I don't have a relative, a spouse, as defined in the Conflict of Interest Act, within the top leadership of the county. And I feel like I can provide objective advice, objective assessment of the county. And I hope that even where we have criticized you and where we have made adverse recommendations, we take it in stride, because that is what the law says. Those are not personal views of the chair. I think with that, we will, the meeting adjourns. We wish the delegation a safe journey back to Homa Bay. We meet on Thursday. On Thursday at 9:30. The meeting is adjourned. No. Yes.